Alright guys, we're going to take a look at order of operations with fractions. So let's take a look at this first problem, which will be 3 1/3 minus 1 1/3 squared plus 1 1/2. Okay, so we want to keep in mind PEMDAS, which tells us, right, we start with parentheses, then exponents, do multiplication and division, and addition and subtraction. So first things first will be our parentheses. So we've got 3 1/3 minus 1 1/3. So you can do 1/3 minus 1/3 is 0, and 3 minus 1 is 2. So that would be 2. So now we've got 2 squared plus 1 1/2. So we'll do the exponent next. 2 squared is the same thing as 2 times 2, which is 4. And finally 4 plus 1 1/2 would be 5 1/2. Alright, let's do the next one. Let's do another problem here. Let's do, how about 1 1/4 times 4 in parentheses minus 1/3 squared. So again, we'll start with what's in parentheses. So we've got 1 1/4 times 4. We need to turn this mixed number into an improper fraction. So 1 times 4 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So we've got 5/4 times 4, which we can write as 4 over 1. Okay, now we'll go ahead and simplify. So 4 and 4 can both be divided by 4. So that leaves us with 5 times 1 over 1 times 1, which is just 5. Okay, then 1/3 squared is the same thing as 1/3 times 1/3, so we will rewrite it as that. And then we just multiply, so 1 times 1 is 1, 3 times 3 is 9, so that leaves us with 5 minus 1/9. So then our last step, of course, is just to do that subtraction. So why don't we go ahead and regroup this 5 as 4 9/9, so that we can subtract 1/9 from that. And that'll leave us with 4 8/9. Alright, now, it's also possible for us to use the distributive property when we are doing problems like this. So we've done the distributive property with addition before, but we can also do it with subtraction. So I'll give you an example of that. So here we've got 4/5 times 10 minus 5/8. And we could go ahead and solve this how it is. We could do 10 minus 5/8 and then multiply that by 4/5. Or we could use our distributive property and do 4 times 10 minus 4 times 5/8. So let's go ahead and do that. Sorry, 4/5 times 10 minus 4/5 times 5/8. So that's 4/5 times 10 minus 4/5 times 5/8. So 4/5 times 10, let's go ahead and simplify those. So 10 and 5 can both be divided by 5. We've got 4 times 2 is 8 over 1 times 1. So it's 8 over 1, which is just 8. 4/5 times 5/8, we can divide 5 and 5 by 5, leaving us with 1. 4 and 8 can become 1 and 2. So 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. So we are left with 8 minus 1/2, which would just be 7 1/2. So there's a quick look at using the distributive property with subtraction, as well as using order of operations to solve problems with fractions.